Hey everybody, this is Tim from Arm Wrestling Secrets, and I wanted to answer another really good question about how to prepare for an arm wrestling tournament. Okay, and I'm going to talk about how I prepare for an arm wrestling tournament. So we'll talk in terms of kind of competition prep, and this is without getting all the weights out. I'll just talk in terms of philosophy and what I generally do. Okay, so this is what I noticed, and this is really important. Okay, this is kind of a good arm wrestling secret for you guys. Okay, so what I noticed as the competitions, as the higher level of competitions came on, the higher level of competition I was facing, the harder my opponents would be training to win. Now that makes sense. Everybody gets it. I was training hard to win too, but my opponents would be overtrained. I touched on overtraining the other day. My opponents would be, even the professionals, some of the best, they were overtrained. Everybody was overtrained. So they were all strong, but they were all kind of overtrained. That's what I felt. Okay, and I was too at some of my initial tournaments until I learned better. So my competition prep and my advice is this. Okay, and I think it's going to be quite the opposite of what everybody else might do and what has been going on, I think, with a lot of my opponents over the years. And I think it did well for me in terms of preparation. Was I did the opposite of overtrain. Now think about it. Think about it. If you don't know how to arm wrestle 8 weeks before the competition, what are you doing? If you're going, let's assume you're going into a major competition, you know how to arm wrestle. It's like an MMA fighter having a major fight in the UFC in 8 weeks. And it's like, well, he knows how to fight. He better know how to throw kicks and punches and wrestle. Does he really need to work really hard on all of those basics? Probably not. Okay. Now, but it doesn't mean you couldn't. You could focus on all kinds of little things, and you could spend hours and hours a day trying to tighten up little things. And that, if you're not feeling really sharp on everything, maybe that's what you should do. Okay. I'm going to give you my advice. Okay. I realize this. What I'm going to do for competition prep is realize I know how to arm wrestle. I mean, this is after years of training. I didn't do this on the first tournament, but once I'd done some tournaments and won some tournaments, I realized, hold on a second. I don't need to train on the table 2 or 3 times a week in order to prepare for this tournament. I am not going to train in order to prepare for this tournament in order to keep my arms fresh. Now, for the weightlifting, I didn't completely take a break from the weights. I kept just because of the muscles. I did exercise physiology as a major in college, and I'm a strength conditioning specialist for the last 20 years, and I do personal training as well. And I learned for a long time that the body, especially when it comes to muscle strength and things like that, you can't just take 8 weeks off of weight training. The muscle's going to atrophy, okay, to a certain degree. So what I wanted to do was maintain the muscle strength without completely fatiguing the muscle. So what I would do is try to maintain the strength that I had 8 weeks out from the tournament. I try to maintain that same strength going into the tournament. What I wasn't doing was what a lot of my opponents were doing, was focusing on getting stronger 8 weeks before the tournament. They're like focusing on lifting maximum weights and doing 1 rep maxes and hooks and pull-ups and all kinds of things like that, which are great for strength training, but they're more of an off-season thing to do. And a lot of people, they're just not using their heads, and they're going into an arm wrestling tournament and they're thinking, I got to get stronger before the tournament. That's a natural feeling, but it's the wrong thing to do because it's going to lead you to overtraining, okay? And if you're not strong enough 8 weeks before the tournament, you're not going to get strong enough in 8 weeks to win the tournament. Okay, I may be completely wrong by that, but I think I'm right. Okay, muscle strength doesn't work that fast. Okay, it takes a long time. Okay, so you're a little behind the 8 ball if you still need to do strength training really in order to build strength for the tournament 8 weeks out. Okay, so it's 2 things. My training time decreases completely. So where I'm only pulling, if I do some training sessions, I'm only going 10%. 10% on the moves, whatever moves I want to practice, hooks and top rolls and whatever presses, whatever I'm doing, defensive moves, there's almost 0 force from my partner. And they have the understanding that I'm trying to keep my joints completely fresh and I want almost no friction. I just want to go through the moves. And that's the way I train 8 weeks out from a tournament. I do not pull hard 8 weeks out from a tournament. For the weightlifting, I lift hard up until the week before. And when I mean week before, I mean, let's say 7 days before. So let's say I'm 8 weeks out from a tournament. For 7 weeks, for those 7 weeks leading up to the tournament, I'm going to continue to lift weights, but not trying to get stronger than I was 8 weeks out. I'm just going to try to maintain the strength I have. I'm going to try to build up to my maximum strength 8 weeks out from the tournament, and then I'm going to try to maintain that, which is good because it doesn't lead to overtraining. I'm not trying to push that envelope. I'm just maintaining 8 weeks out, but I'm maintaining my strength. Okay, and then when I get to 1 week out from the tournament, I'm going to change it up a little bit more. Okay, I'm going to stop weightlifting completely. The weightlifting stops. All weightlifting stops a week before the tournament. I don't lift any weights. I don't pick up any dumbbells. I don't lift any weights. There will be no fatigue in the muscles from any weightlifting. Done. A week before the tournament, there will be no weightlifting. 7 days out. 7 days. 7 days out from the tournament, I don't lift any more weights at all. Not with any body part at all. Okay? And the table training is still very, very light. 5-10%, nothing that could be sore, nothing that could make me sore, nothing that could make me fatigued before the tournament. So 7 days out, I continue with the really light table training, but going through the motions. I want to keep my motions precise. I want to keep my angles tight. And like I said, when I get the table out, I'll demonstrate some of those movements for you, kind of how I train just by myself prior to a tournament. Just keeping some of the angles for different moves. It's a good way to practice just by yourself, because an arm wrestling table is not exactly a natural thing. It's something you have to get used to. It's just like picking up a guitar. Feels kind of weird when you pick it up. It doesn't feel like it just fits right into your hand. It's kind of bulky and it doesn't feel really comfortable. So an arm wrestling table, it's the same thing. You've got to get used to it. It's got to feel comfortable. You got to be able to move on it like a machine. It's got to be kind of an extension of you. The more you arm wrestle on it, the better you're going to get. So even just doing those motions by yourself with nobody there at all even, and going through the motions, you're going to get better and better and better, because it's going to maintain your contact, your elbow contact on the table, and you're going to go through motions that you can check over and over, and get them better and better, quicker and quicker. Okay, even without the friction. So what I do is in the last week, to bring this video to kind of a close, during the last week, I minimize any type of fatigue going into the tournament. So my assumption, and from what I notice it works, my assumption is most of my opponents are going to be fairly fatigued coming into the tournament, because biomechanically, they didn't take biomechanics, and they don't know exercise physiology, and they don't realize that a 1 rep max set of bicep curls or something 3 days before the tournament, it's not going to make you any stronger at all. It's just going to make you extremely fatigued, overtrained, and sore going into a big tournament. It's just maximizing your chances of losing the tournament. So I realized that the fresher I was, the better my chances were of winning, because I was just taking the advantage of taking advantage of my maximum strength without feeling overtrained and fatigued, while a lot of my opponents were fatigued. So that's my training advice, and that's my 8-week competition preparation